All right, we are live.
Live.
The showdown has begun. Conley versus Frost. Just kidding. We're just gonna do a little podcast here, and Conley and Frost, we're gonna talk and have a discussion, and we're gonna see where it goes. And if some people want to join us, you're free to join us because this is a free for all. So if anybody wants to talk to us, here's the deal right here. You got Frost and me right here, so you can discuss with us. You can even debate us, but you're gonna have to be nice. I didn't say you have to be well. You have to be kind. You don't have to
Be
be
nice.
nice. But yeah, you have to follow the rules of YouTube too. So
Oh yeah.
anyways, before we get anybody starts, gets on here or whatever. Um, I don't know what you want to talk about, Frost. We could talk about
Gary
you
Demar.
know yeah, we could talk about Gary Demar. Um, we could start on the real tough ones right now. Um, I mean, we've been dealing with Gary Demar, partial preterist. We've got full preterist. I haven't
What's
actually
going
been.
on? First off, yeah. So what's going on with Jen Savvy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know why she changed her name. I think she should have changed it to Jen Fish Turd, because um, that would make much more sense with what she's trying to go for these days. So I know I'm being mean, but you know, she makes all these lies up, and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's okay for you to lie, but if I
When
say it, if I say the truth, it's really bad, I guess. So
when are the 9 people that believe in IO going to realize that
I
it's a joke? It's actually a joke. The sad thing is that the 10 people that believe in it take it serious. I don't know if they do or don't. It's hard. I think Jen does.
some of them do, but like a lot of them, I think it's just trolling. Like they're just trolling. I think
Yeah,
a lot of that is
just
what
to
it
be
is.
belligerent, just to make a point or something. I
And
don't know.
if they and
It's got
like
to be
if
one of
they
the
actually,
dumbest things that's ever come down the pike.
yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I pointed out to she accused me of calling her a racist, and I'm like, I'm not calling you a racist. I'm just saying that your belief stems from British Israelism, which it does. And she's
I've
like,
got
no,
I've
it
got some of
doesn't. It
Herbert W.
doesn't.
Armstrong's books. I've got some of his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sounds
it's
eerily
literally
familiar.
it's literally Armstrongism, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's got the Black Hebrew Israelite stuff. I
I don't
mean,
have anything by Black Hebrew Israelites, but
like Frost, what do you do when somebody's saying I'm not racist, but then you're like, I know I'm not accusing you of that, but your belief literally comes from those sects. Like that was what Rivers of Eden. That's what Donald Hockner. They started doing that, and they used those arguments. They weren't racist. I'm not going to accuse them of racism, but they used those arguments. Jen Fish Turd uses those arguments. So, like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, I got kicked off of a whole group as an admin because I was like, look, this is what you're arguing. And
yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm not arguing that. Yeah, you are. You're literally saying it right now. You're saying that these Gentiles are all Jews. That nobody is that a goy is not a Jew. Or you're saying a goy is a Jew. Like
Even the
that's
Jews don't understand this argument.
well, yeah. The Jews would read that
They're
and
even
go, "What are
listening.
you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they read Genesis 17 and they're
Well,
like, "Yeah, Abraham let everybody in his clan and tribe become part of the covenant. That's how it works, doofus."
pretty.
It's not just
He,
Abraham. It's not just
he only
Isaac.
had Ishmael at that point. He had Ishmael.
I mean,
So
Ishmael was
who are
part of
these
the
other males that are getting circumcised? Who are these
like
people? Well, they're not of
Eleazar of
science. They're not of
Damascus.
bloodline. They're
Yeah, like
Chaldeans, most likely. They're Chaldeans.
well, I was looking it up the other day. I was like, okay, how does adoption work in Judaism? And it was like, okay, Eleazar, his servant,
Yep.
Abraham's
Yep.
servant, he's not related to him one bit.
No.
But before Ishmael and Isaac were born, Eleazar was his adopted son.
Yeah.
So according to the rites by you know, ancient ancient times, he would have been his adopted son. and
Yeah.
he took the covenant too. Like they all
Kenism,
got circumcised.
Kinism,
Yeah,
Kenism. This is recognized. You can go back as early as Gerhard von Rad. I mean, everybody
yeah,
realizes Jews understand this.
exactly.
They
And nobody like
they get it.
this. That I think the Israel only people. I not well. Some of them are genuinely good people. I'm gonna say that. There's like at least two or three that I'm like, okay, I just need to talk to you, and I think we can get past this. I think we can. But like the rest of them, they know what they're doing. It's just literally like they're just trolling. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
that's because I know a person who's a PhD student for James Tabor.
Hmm.
And he presented him all this stuff because he's familiar with, the full predator. So the student, I won't give his name, but he is familiar with this. And I said, hey, did you ever run by him the full preterist, lonely stuff like that to James Tabor? Because James Tabor's radical. I mean, he's out there on,
Right.
but he's a biblical scholar by all credentials, accredited, all
Yeah.
accounts, peer reviewed, all that kind of stuff. And I've got a few of his works. He's got a little nuggets here and there that I read everybody. So anyway, he ran it by him, and James Tabor just shook his head and laughed and said, "This is ridiculous." That's James Tabor.
Yeah, I mean that's literally every scholar though. Like I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a single scholar that I know of that would say, yeah, there's a point that they have. Like no, they're going
When
to
you
be
have a
like the
view that
closest thing you have is
everybody
maybe
is wrong, the encyclopedias are wrong,
yeah,
the lexicons are wrong,
which
the
is
dictionaries are
hilarious
wrong,
because
everybody's
first
wrong.
of all, yeah, like I mean, first of all, you have the full preterists that are like everybody's wrong, right? So it's like
Everybody's wrong.
I don't know, 3,000 people out of the whatever billion people on the planet are right, and then you've got now it's 5 people out of those 30,000 that are even close. Like that's weird. That's
Yeah.
bizarre, right?
You always get these offshoots.
But yeah,
It happens in
yeah. I mean,
Christianity. You
it's
got
just an offshoot.
apostolic Pentecostalism, oneness only, and these little
Yeah,
offshoots
true.
that go off, and they're a small sequestered group of people when weighed against the 2.8 billion Christians. There's
Yeah,
8 billion supposedly. They say 8 billion people on Earth. So in the 2.8 billion Christians, but you get these little offshoots, especially in the Reformation. Most of them died out. They just were these small little David Koresh kind of group of 1,000, people, and very zealous, just bought into the whole thing. I mean, they'll burn up in the building. If the building gets
yeah,
burnt, they're gonna die for the cause. You can't do anything about that. Neither can you prove anything to folks of that kind of mindset. That's not gonna happen. They
true.
are they're just dead sure. And so, I hang out in the consensus of scholarship area. I like hanging out there.
I
I've
mean,
got theories and interpretations that, but I still like to float it in and around those areas and get
the
feed.
thing too is though you can just read it for like you can just read it like plain Jane, just read it, and it's not going to like at least with Israel only, you're not going to get that from the scripture. You're going to get like
No,
okay, the covenant is. I mean, because they're trying to say Israel is the only the biological Israelites are the ones that are saved. And I'm like, okay, so you're saying that everybody before Abraham was not saved? That doesn't make any sense. Like
don't bring up Genesis 10.
everything, yeah, like Genesis 10,
Yeah.
Genesis. I mean, Melchizedek. He's got no
Who's
biological
that guy?
relation.
Where does he
Yeah, who
come
is
from?
that
Who's this
guy?
guy? He's not
I mean,
Israelite. He's not a Jew. He's not Israelite.
and even Jen Fishburne the other day, she was talking about Ishmael is not part of the. I'm like, girl, like he literally like was part of it
Well,
in
I beg
Genesis
to differ with you.
17. She's so
God
crazy.
hears Hagar. In fact, this is the first time
Yeah,
the angel
he,
of the Lord mentions a woman's voice. He's listening to a woman. Where
yeah,
are you? Where did
he
you come
hears
from? Where are you
Hagar.
going? and he establishes a covenant. This is basic stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
very
and
clear.
Rahab is not an Israelite at all. She gets put into all of her household.
And
All of her
lives with
household.
Israel for the rest of her life.
Yeah. I mean,
She's an Israelite.
Exodus 12, it gives you a whole rundown.
Oh
Like,
yeah, there's another
you
one.
can join Israel. If you can join in Israel, you can take the Passover meal, which only Jews are allowed to take it. Only Israelites are allowed to take it. So you have to become an Israelite to take it, which
Assimilation.
it gives you the way to assimilate into Israel.
Yeah. It's
It
the same
literally
thing.
gives it. So that's why it says, the mixed multitude went with, Israel, like it went with them out of Egypt. Like that's the Gentiles
What
too.
America does. We did this with
Yeah,
Native American First Nation people. We had a whole program of assimilation. If you come in and adopt the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and that kind of, then you're an American.
yeah. And
I don't care where you're from. You could be from Ireland or Scotland or Africa or wherever, but you're an American. Period.
I was reading it too. Leviticus 20:23 through 30 or 24. It uses the terms goy and nakar, right?
Yeah.
And those are used before the exile. So
Yep. Yep.
where are these exiled Israelites that I'm trying to look for here? This doesn't make any sense if it's in Leviticus
Well,
because there's no exile yet.
Adam is an Israelite because he's the first covenantal Israelite. So it's
Yeah, it's so backwards, right? Because it's like, okay, now suddenly everyone's an Israelite.
everyone's an Israelite.
Yeah,
You know,
because all of humanity is from
Ruth.
Adam.
So I think it was Corey Schultz that told me, well, Ruth was a Moabite and Boaz
Yeah,
married. And well, that goes against what the law said. Don't marry somebody that's not. Well, see, here's where you miss the point. You've got the law, and then you have God doing whatsoever He wants. And
yeah,
Ruth is brought in, and that's meant. Now, the first reaction is wait a minute. Same with Moses' wife or Joseph's wife. This is like, hey, wait a minute now. You're married to a Shitzka. You're not married
mhm,
to an Israelite woman. And God says, and I can do
right.
whatever. I can approve of whatever I want. I know the law says this, but I can approve of whatever I want. In other words, that's the point. That right there is the very point.
Well,
And
and also ritual purity. Like,
yeah, right.
so you've got like there's a bunch of times in Genesis as well where you have you'll have like Abraham is talking to an Amorite and a Hittite, and you're like, wait a
Oh yeah,
second. You're thinking, wait a second. The scriptures say that they're going to be a cursed people, but like here Abraham has alliances with some of these people.
yeah.
Like, what's going on? Well, what's going on is these guys specifically are not part of those ritual cults that are in, like, they're not doing the rituals that the Amorites are doing. So they are from the Amorite clan, but they're not being ritually Amorites.
It's called
Like, they're
grace.
actually they're probably
Grace.
being ritually Abraham, like part of Yahweh, because well, why would Abraham have a covenant with these people, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and
I mean,
it's it's it's
he does one
grace.
with the yeah, like he does one with the Jararites, but that's because that's not a they're not doing a covenant like, hey, let's do this with Yahweh and the pagan gods. No, he's just like, we're making a deal. Like, that's all it is
You
on
could say that.
that stuff.
I mean, in Isaiah, it says that from Egypt and from Assyria. In the Psalms, it talks about, and this one will be written in the book of life from
Right.
Ethiopia, and this one will say, "I am an Israelite." So it's very, very plain and understood.
Hmm.
That language is understood. And yes, it uh, goes against what is stated in the law, but that's the whole point. That message of grace. That's the whole thing. I think this is why Paul understands. He comes to the conclusion. Oh, the message given to Israel was not a nationalistic message. It was a universalistic message. And that's
Right.
where we kind of missed the boat here. Because if you go back and you start looking at our stories, Abraham is a Chaldean, and
Yeah.
22 years was not circumcised, even though for 22 years God credited it to him as righteousness. His faith, he credited that as righteousness. And then 22 years later, he's circumcised. So for 22 years, he's uncircumcised, but yet he's righteous.
Right. Exactly.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's the
So
whole
what's
point of
going
what
on here?
Paul's
Well,
saying.
what's going on here is grace. God calls. God does these things. And that opens up the door to these nations of Genesis chapter 10. How in the world is Abraham going to be a father of nations?
Yeah.
And Abraham wondered this, Lord, how's that going to happen? But
Well,
that's the whole thing.
you know what's also funny? I got told the other day, Esau's tribe, none of them could come to Christ. None of them could come to and I'm like, wait a second.
Ridiculous.
We've got a whole like, you know what Job is? Like Job
Yeah,
is
who's Job?
Job is an Edomite.
Yeah.
Like
all these guys, Bildad, he's an Amorite, who are these guys?
Yeah, like if the reason that Job is I don't know how people don't know this, but I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but some people don't know that Job is like the transliteration, not transliteration, the like calling Bobby Bob. Like if your name is Bobby, your name would be I might call you Bob for short.
Right.
Job is short for Joe Bob, and Joe Bob's in Genesis. He's an Edomite. He's an Edomite. Yeah, and there's tons of Syriac text that
whatever you do with Job, it's clear there's no law mentioned, there's no Moses mentioned, there's no Egypt, Exodus mentioned, there's none of this stuff. So the narrative is presented as definitely in the days of Abraham, pre Moses, pre Israel, and yet you have these four theologians all going at it. They're all believers. All Job and his friends are all believers. Hagar is a believer.
Yeah.
She's communing with Yahweh. Yahweh, the angel of the Lord, comes, and she's not an atheist.
Right.
She's a believer. And
well,
her son
even Ishmael
covenants with Ishmael and covenants and says, here's what's going to happen to your son. I've made a covenant with him. Here's what's going to happen.
Well, even Ishmael,
wonderful grace.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna do a video later, not today or whatever, but I'm gonna do one where I'm gonna discuss Ishmael because Ishmael's actually faithful. Ishmael's in the Genesis. Ishmael's faithful. It's not until like way later when Islam takes over that they kind of get people get a little like, oh, we don't like the Ishmaelites very much, like. But before that, Ishmael is considered like a saint and everything. It's just that his people kind of get backwatered just like Israel does,
Doctoral work, I had Dwayne Christensen, and he wrote the 2-volume commentary for Word Biblical Commentaries set, that nice set.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a lot of work in Ishmael, and he's like, we've misunderstood Ishmael. Look at this story. We're very, very, very close, especially in the Hebrew. It's elevating Ishmael. Ishmael's he's a son of Abraham. Never forget that. He is a son of Abraham.
Fish Turd completely disregarded when I told her, like, look at the Hebrew, look at the Greek. It both says the same. It uses the same words. When Ishmael dies, it says Ishmael rested with his fathers.
That's a covenantal phrase, right?
Yes, and it's using the same. It uses the same thing with Abraham.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
Okay, like, how can Abraham?
In other words, we'll see Ishmael in eternity.
Exactly. And like it's just so silly. It
is silly.
The idea is just so silly.
What do you think is, to get psychological here, my arena of psychology? So what do you think is the motive? What's the motive? Who's an atheist? Jen's an atheist. Alan Bondar, atheist. What Tristan? I'll even throw him in there. What's the motivation here? Why would you do something that is obviously maybe 20 people so out of bounds? So what is the motivation?
I think for Tristan, he's not even. I mean, he doesn't even believe the Israel only stuff anymore.
No, right.
But I think for Jen, personally for Jen Fishburne, I think it's I think she just wants to be famous for something, and she's like, if she would quit all of the silly, if she would quit all the silly like, oh, flat Earth is real, nobody went to the moon, all Bigfoot is real. I mean,
Is she
just
still
I
flat Earth?
mean, I don't know.
I know that
She's
she
like
was flat Earth.
she probably is. So I mean, I know I'm talking
That's
crap, but I
something I
don't
never
care.
fell for. I watched like
Yeah,
2 videos 10 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, okay, these guys are nuts.
I just, it's stuff like that though. I'm like, okay, you want to be taken serious, but you're so unserious. Like,
I mean,
why not?
Bigfoot has more plausibility than flat
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah. I mean, really. I mean, like, I'm not trying to hate on some flat earthers. Y'all, some of y'all are probably nice people, but you know, sorry, but I, you
Look,
can do you like
the
I
whole
can go to the
we
ocean.
never landed on the moon stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Come on. Now
I
look,
mean,
New Heavens and New Earth. I think that's Jeremy.
yeah. Let's see. New
Ishmael only.
Jeremy's got a fun deal. He said here.
Ishmael,
Maybe someone will start a new Ishmael only club. Oh
Ishmael
yeah,
only.
I like it. Let's do it.
Ishmael only.
I like it.
Us three. We'll be the
Yeah,
only
us three.
three.
We'll start a new. We'll start Ishmael only. That sounds
Yeah.
fun. That's how Islam started. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Um, I like that. That's a pretty good one. I love that,
Ishmael
Jeremy.
only.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild that they come and how do you do Isaiah like 19 for example, where it's like Assyria is my people, Egypt
My
my
people is a
people.
covenantal phrase
Yeah, like oh wait
in
a
Isaiah. It
second,
is.
it's
Yeah.
it's got a judgment for them, and then it's like after this judgment they'll come to me, and it's like how does that happen? Oh, it must be through Jesus Christ letting
Right.
in people into the
This is the
covenant.
revelation that Paul's like, oh goodness, it's been staring at me in the face in the
Yeah,
Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, and I've been blind and I didn't see what was right in front of me in the text. I'm so
exactly.
nationalistic, fleshly oriented, Jews only, that kind of nationalism, almost racism to an extent that you find in little traces of that kind of stuff. And Paul's realizing, oh my goodness, this has been about the world. God loves the
Yeah.
world. He loves the whole world, and we're to be a light to the world. Like, oh boy, you know,
Again
God,
to anybody that wants to come on, feel free. The link is right here. You are free to Frost is here for another good 30-40 minutes. So,
yeah,
you know, free and I'll be here
we'll
for
do this
maybe
more
a
often.
little longer. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll
But
do.
yeah, I mean if anybody wants to join, you're allowed to come on and you just got to be a little respectful cuz
So, okay, let's move on to the
yeah.
bromance between Mike Sullivan and Gary DeMar. So,
Oh, that's getting really weird. I don't understand it.
I'm
I
accused.
understand.
So I'm accused as a full predator. You've heard this, man. You've known me
Yeah,
for 20 some years. So I was accused of being the dancing bear, flirting with everybody just so I can get my name out there. I'll hang out with Don Preston. I'll hang out with Max King. I'll hang out with Gary DeMar. I'll
right.
hang out with Tim Talbot. And yet Mike Sullivan's hanging out with Gary DeMar. He's hanging out with Don Preston. He's hanging, I just have to laugh.
And he used to say they were heretics.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah,
In fact, in House Divided, we couldn't mention Max King. I could
yeah,
not footnote him in my chapter. Dave Green and Mike said, "Don't footnote Don Preston or Max King in your chapter. We don't want to give any allegiance to them whatsoever." I remember that very vividly because I was a pro Don Preston, Max King. That's where I got the idea from.
I remember him
They wanted
calling
a
me that.
thoroughly reformed thing, and I thought, well, now you're hanging out with Don Preston. Interesting.
Yeah, I remember him calling me that too when he was like, "You're
Yeah,
Eastern Orthodox. You're a heretic." I'm like,
yeah,
a full preterist calling me a heretic. That's really
that's
fresh.
laughable. Right.
That's so funny. Um, yeah, that's fun. Like, sure,
The
bud.
hypocrisy here is, and then for Gary DeMar to say that, I think in his recent article where he writes about it's just me and Jason Bradfield. Jason Bradfield and I, God bless Jason Bradfield. I have nothing but respect for him. but we have our differences, and we're not together in any.
Right.
I talk more to you than I do Jason.
Yeah. You and me are more of a team now
Right.
than you and
Jason and I are
Jason.
not a team. We're not together. We're not, any of those types of things. Jason has gone on in God's providence to his own ministry in his own local county that he's in there in Lakeland, and as a minister in God's church, he's doing the work that he's doing. So we've gone our different ways, and so Jason's not associated with me. Um, uh, you know,
Well, I mean,
they
I don't
try to
understand.
continue to pit us together or something.
Sullivan's just funny to me because, like, okay, the dude's hanging out with Don Preston, but then he's also hanging out with a polygamist William Bell. Like, okay, you're hanging out now with you're hanging out with Gary, you're hanging out with Don, you're hanging out with polygamist Bell, which he
Yeah,
says I'm not a polygamist, and then I'm like, okay, but why do you keep supporting polygamy then? Like monogamy is the ideal. This was the ideal. Isaac is the ideal in Judaism. It's not like Abraham
I
messes up
don't
quite a
mind
bit.
if you want a bunch of wives or something. I have my hands
I
full
don't
with
think that
one.
William Bell could handle another wife. I think his first wife
I know
would
I couldn't.
I couldn't either, but you
Now,
know,
here's my question: is why can't a woman have many husbands?
exactly. Because it's a patriarchal thing apparently, but I don't see that in I don't see how like I see God tolerating it, but
It's not the idea, right? It's
like it
definitely
even
not.
says David wasn't supposed to take many wives, and then he took many wives. Like he kind of messed that one up, kind of messed that one up in Torah. No offense, David. Like David, you tried your best, but you kind of screwed up along the way a few times. Solomon definitely screwed up along a lot of ways. You know,
I think Sullivan's making it full preterism a new name. That's what was
probably
the
he's making it
latest.
more difficult.
You know, it's I don't know, but neither one of these guys will debate me and you. Gary Demar
No,
takes these pot shots at me. I flip flop. I'm, I'm. Oh, I'm constantly changing my views. Is that the dog ringing on the show?
sorry, that was cat was yelling at the dog and the dog was yelling at the cat and I was like, I gotta shut this down for a minute. Um, yeah,
So
it's just
I constantly change my views. Uh, every day I'm just changing my views.
oh, I know,
Yesterday I was Church of Satan. Today I'm Church of Christ. Tomorrow I'm Assemblies of God. Every day I don't know what I'm going to be. What
I know, right?
um, but
And apparently I do too, even though I've been Eastern Orthodox for 8 years now. So I'm like,
yeah,
wow,
for a long
I've
time
changed so much. I mean, I've changed so much. Me and
you've
Frost have
changed a
changed
lot.
just we just change every day. It's like we're just willy nilly, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I remember Sullivan. He challenged me to debate, and I said, yes, I will debate you. Fine, let's
Oh yeah,
go.
the debate, right?
Yeah, I said, yes, I will do it. Let's go. Like, I can set it up with Donnie. We can go right. We can do it like pretty quick. He's
Not that
like,
hard.
yeah, well, let's do it. And then next thing I know, he starts making like, oh crap, he actually took my, like, he said yes. Oh shoot. Then I get blocked. And then I, I, somebody showed me a screenshot and they're like, he's talking about how mean Lance is now and like he's not going to debate him. And I'm like, I said nothing mean to this guy. I just said I'll debate you. Like,
Yeah,
what's the deal? You're scared. Like, dude's just scared.
he won't do it. And the thing is that I wrote for Mike Sullivan a chapter in his book House Divided, which they took out. And Gary DeMar, American Vision, published my book initially with Joel McDermott. I think it was 200 copies or something. Joel ended up giving that out. That was during the Don Preston Joel McDermott debate, and I was helping Joel there. I stayed at his house for the weekend, got to meet Gary North and everybody. Gary DeMar, I've met him since the '90s. I've known. Um, we had conferences together as full preterists. Gary would show up at those conferences. So Gary's changed his mind. Obviously, he's changed his views. I guess
Oh
they're allowed
yeah.
to do that. We're not allowed to do that. He's allowed to do that. But American Vision published Why I Left Full Preterism, and on the back of it was a blurb by Gary DeMar, who since has
Right.
wanted that removed. I guess Gary's changed his views. Nobody else is allowed to do this, by the way. Keep this in
And
mind.
nobody's allowed to question
No,
Gary.
no, and you can't question Gary,
It's
who
so
hasn't been down
weird.
on any view, even though he's written about eschatology since the 1990s, and he still hasn't figured out 1 Corinthians 15.
I just think it's funny. Gary's funny because I got an article wrote about me too. I think that's
Yeah,
the first.
yeah.
I, I think that's the first time I've ever gotten
Well,
written.
Jason, you, me, yeah.
It was funny. I was just like, I got so many messages that I never expected. Where I was like, they were like, "Wait, why is Gary talking about you today?" I'm like, "Oh, he's just mad because I told him to be nice to Frost."
Yeah.
That's all I
You would
said. I
think, because my mentality is if I was in Gary's shoes and I had a guy whose book I endorsed and I wanted
Yeah,
my endorsement taken off that, I'm let's talk about this. I would put it on the thing because I get emails all the time. Why doesn't Gary talk to you? I don't know. I'll talk to Mike Sullivan. I'll talk to Don That's the one thing Tristan said. He goes, Sam, you'll talk to just about anybody.
yeah,
Alan Bondar. Yeah, sure. I don't have anything to hide. What's the problem here? We should be having open dialogue. What
no
am I? What,
kidding.
is Gary DeMar too good for me or something? Is he in the upper echelon of holiness or scholarship or something like that he can't? I know this stuff like the back of my hand, and I think that's Lance what they're afraid of.
I
You know
think so.
stuff like the back of your hand. I could preach a full preterist message right now.
I could do it too.
Sound exactly like a full preterist.
Hmm.
Convincing.
Yeah,
People say, man, Sam's gone back to full preterism.
yeah.
And I think that's the problem.
I think so too because they know they know we know, you know,
I know it.
which I think is hilarious because okay, you're that like they know the truth and they're scared of like they're scared to admit like
What's to be
hey
afraid of?
yeah, what are you so scared of, Gary?
Truth has no fear. And hundreds of people over the last couple of years of why do you and Gary tomorrow? Why doesn't Mike Sullivan? You and Lance, you guys are like open books. I'm an
Yeah,
open book. I'm transparent. Trans. What you see is what you get. Uh, no holds barred. And I'll be nice. I'm a pastor, and now I'm ordained as a pastor in our mainline denomination here, which
I
I
mean,
love.
I know I'm pretty mean sometimes, but like when you get me on like YouTube, I become much nicer, don't I? I mean, I'm usually
I
much
do
nicer.
too.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think
I don't think I'm that mean on Facebook, but I
I'm not
mean,
mean. I'm not a mean person.
I think I just scare them because I'm just like I'm gonna tell you straight up, like Frost, I don't agree with you on this. So what you gonna do
I
about it,
don't
boy?
care. Great.
Exactly.
Move on.
You know,
I mean, I
that's all it
you can
is.
tell the last couple of years, and then now employed 25 hours a week, so that's a part-time thing that I do instructional,
Yeah,
cognitive behavior therapy and all of that. But getting to know inmates and things like that, really getting attached and friendships and the whole nine yards. No, you're not mean. I'm not mean. You can't be and
no,
do that kind of work. But by the grace of God, did I used to be mean? Yeah, I could be one of the worst people in the world. I come right at you very, very hard.
I can
Uh,
do it still
I
today,
regret
but
that as I get older. I regret it.
I try to be kind. Like I'm not gonna be just nice to you just to be nice. Like I'm
Oh
gonna be
no,
kind, you
no,
know. Like
we're not
like
snowflakes.
yeah, I mean okay, I'm sorry, but your belief like if it's an IO person or a full press, I'm like, look, you're. It's like I did to Lawrence Gaynor the other day. I was like, look, man, like
Oh,
I'm trying to be nice to you. I'm trying to be so kind to you right now, and you're making it so hard. like, bro, just listen here. Like
yeah.
this is what I'm trying to tell you. Doesn't this not sound like contradictory? Doesn't this sound messed up for you? You can't just admit like this is a little messed up here. Maybe I should rethink that. I'm not telling you to recant your position live on here right now. I'm just saying, would you consider rethinking your position? And it's like, oh no,
Are
Mr.
you
Conley.
open? Are
Yeah,
you
are you
open?
open? Like
Now, the
they're
one
like,
thing in full preterism, while I was a full preterist and under the tutelage of, like Dr. Crampton or Dr. Talbot and some others, um, they always taught me this, always be open.
right,
I've got my core things that I've never left. And before I became a full preterist, I already had my bachelor. Um, a theology degree, so I already had this kind of like core saying that I was not. And I thought with full preterism, I didn't have to surrender those core things.
Right.
As I continued on in it, though, and thought, you know what, you got to start giving this core stuff up. It's not just Gary wants to make it just about eschatology, and it's
Hmm.
not. It hits every other issue. So now you have beyond creation science. So Genesis is not what you think it was either. It's
Right.
a different whole other than just the reading of it. Like, well, it's pretty much what it is, what it says it is. You believe it or not, whatever, but that's what it says. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, they're reinterpreting the entire wheel. It's a new wheel. You know,
Yeah. I mean, because I mean, for you and me, like, because you're a young Earth creationist and I'm not, but I see it more as a visionary material, right? But like, we both were able to, because it's not heretical for either one of us to believe this way, right? You
it's
know,
allowable. It's
I believe
allowable.
it's a visionary material. You believe
Right.
it's young Earth creationist. That's fine.
I
There's
get the
nothing,
whole visionary thing, and
yeah,
John
like there's nothing
Paul
heretical
read on
about either of these two positions. And actually, I think it's great because you've got we're two ex full preterists, and we can go, all right, if a full preterist says, man, I could get behind Frost until he started saying that young Earth creationist stuff. I don't believe that, and I'm like, all right, well, let's talk, because I
right.
can maybe present a, and then vice versa. Maybe somebody's like, I can't handle that Conley's visionary material nonsense.
Yeah.
I think I want to be a younger creationist like Mr. Frost over there.
Mm.
He seems like a nice dandy snowman over there, man. I'll tell you what. I'm like, all right, go talk to Frost about it. It's not heretical to believe this. So
Mm.
like, go ahead, man. Now it's heretical if you're doing covenant creation where you're saying that Adam is like one part of creation and all this other crazy crap that they put in there, where it's just
Oh,
another,
the animals on the ark are people.
yeah, or they're Gentiles or
Yeah,
something.
the animals on the ark are Gentiles.
Which I honestly, I think that's where some of the crazy beliefs come from, is they're adding to that, they're putting like all there's the pre-Adamites and all that. Like, I think that's where they're getting some of that from,
Yeah.
unfortunately. You know, like
And
that's
then
kind of where.
you look at mainline scholarship that just destroys that stuff.
But what gets me too, like, you remember when Don Preston was like, I showed the quote that he did of that fake dictionary that he always uses, and it turned out it's from a white supremacist group. Um,
Oh,
I, I
right.
just I just noticed, like, this happens all the time. Like the British Israeli stuff, they somehow get it in there. They somehow get it in there with Don Preston gets it in there. And I'm like, guys, just for once in your life, check the dang notes, check the dang, like, check where your sources are coming from.
Read the footnotes. Right. Read the
Maybe
footnotes.
the full preterist would have less racism in their, stupid belief if like they would actually fact check for
It's
once.
just like the curse of Ham. Ham's
Yes.
the mark of Cain, curse of Ham. This kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, I
I mean,
mean,
and freaking William Bell. William Bell pulls the same crap. He's like, I fully endorse this one guy. I can't remember the guy's name. He was like an anti-Semite, and he's like, this guy made the best book ever. And I'm like, bro, like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is the future of full
the
preterism, isn't
Holocaust
it?
never
This is
happened.
what it's gonna turn into.
It wasn't 6 million
Yeah, the
Jews. It was
Holocaust
only
never
like a couple
happened.
of thousand, and that was it.
Yeah, just
It's
absolutely
that stuff.
bat crap
It's
bonkers.
right, right. And
Well, and even and
somewhere
even
the
Daniel
Illuminati
Rogers
is going to
pointed
come
that
in. The
out.
Illuminati always comes into that.
Oh yes, we can believe all that, but we cannot believe that Jesus is coming back in the future.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
wow, okay, yeah, we can believe all of that, but this conspiracy
No, well,
theory
the
that
second
Jesus came
coming,
back in 70 AD,
that
yeah,
actually becomes the conspiracy of the power struggle of the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches, so
yeah,
that because they knew that Jesus came back, but we can't have that because then we can't hold people in fear and power, and so we're going to
yeah,
come up with this conspiracy of we're going to come up with a second coming of Jesus thing. And then that way, you better watch out. You better stay
Yeah,
Eastern Orthodox. You better stay Catholic. You better start coming to church or you're going to hell. Unless, because Jesus is coming back to get you. And
it's just so weird that they
goodness
think that's a.
gracious. Yeah.
It's so weird that they think that's like an actual thing because I mean, yes, the Catholic Church and Eastern Orthodox had power over like a
Of
lot of
course.
your life back then,
Sure,
but
sure, sure they did.
I mean, it wasn't to that extent that you could just go like like for example, so if we're going with their crazy conspiracy theory, we have no surviving text beyond like the earliest text that we have is like 150 AD, and I think it's Revelation. That's our oldest surviving manuscript that we have, and that's a copy. So it's like I told Ed
It's
Stevens, like,
66, I think.
yeah, so it's like I told Ed Stevens, I'm like, okay, you don't have a surviving copy, so you're having to tell me that all these people got raptured in 70 AD or 66 AD, and they
Oh,
left
yeah,
their they left their Bibles or whatever, and then all we have left of that is what the apostates copied.
I guess.
Okay, I mean, if
Since
that's
they
where
were
you want to
there and
go,
actually what they were there and they observed this.
yeah, like okay,
I don't
well,
realize the theory that's going on here.
I get why Ed doesn't want to talk to me because like if I ask him these
Very
questions,
strange about Ed.
yeah, he'll lose his
So
mind.
the
But he can,
IOs don't want to debate. The
yeah,
full preterist leaders don't want to debate, and then the raptured body, immortal body view, they don't want to debate.
they definitely don't. Because every time I talk to one, it's like, oh my god. They ask Ed, and Ed's like, no, don't talk to him.
No,
He'll turn you. He'll
no.
turn you. He'll keep you away from IBV. And I'm like, Ed, what's the problem, man? You
Yeah.
can. I now know because he told me that he can't use a camera. He doesn't know how. But then I saw that he talked to Zach Davis. I was like, this is amazing. You learned how to use a camera. Wow.
Point and click.
It's so amazing. Wow.
So
I'm so impressed.
here's a thought. Someone's Bible theory. He says,
Oh,
"What are
yeah.
your thoughts on the story of Adam and the Enuma Elish? One written earlier than the other, and the connection." Well, I think that Genesis, the Toledot of Adam and Eve, was written early. I think that's written earlier than the Enuma Elish. That's part of the debate was which came first, the chicken or the egg. Yeah, to me, you know, I think the what we see in A and E, I argue, on the basis of assuming that the scriptures is the word of God written. What I argue is the reason why we have the similarities of all these other stories is because you had the original, actual, real story that took place, and then you had a dissemination through oral tradition, and they get a little tangled up and messed up as they go along the way. But that's the account of the similarities because there really was a guy named Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and Enoch and all the rest of them. They really existed, and I think that. I think Gilgamesh is a person that existed. I think this is an actual hero. Um, Amazing similarities of flood stories all over the world. They're everywhere. They appear all over the place. Where did where did the human beings ever get this idea of a flood story? Where did they? Well, there was a flood. There was a catastrophic flood, um, and they wrote about it. Anyway, that's debatable.
Yeah, I mean, so my kind of position on that is Moses got the vision on Mount Sinai of Genesis, and
Sure,
I think Torah got written, and then
sure,
over time Ezra. I always use Ezra as my placemate, as Bible theory knows, but um, I always say Ezra was the guy that we can blame for how the Old Testament got written down as it is to us today, but ultimately I think that bits of Babylon, bits of Persia, bits of all of these, they did get into Genesis in some form or fashion a little bit, um, and it's like Genesis is pretty much a response to uh, the Babylonian myths and all of the myths around, like Mesopotamia, you know.
right.
Um, so, I mean, it's visionary material. So I don't. I don't have like a whole problem with that idea really. I don't have a problem with like which one came first really, but I do kind of generally think that Adam and Eve, that story came first. I kind of think that's because I believe in the divine council and all that, but um you know, I if somebody tomorrow is like, "Hey, we proved that Adam and Eve was the first one and this came later," like I'll just go, "Well, that's fine because Genesis is a response and a reaction." I
And
mean,
this is always shifting
yeah. I
too,
mean,
because it used to be, you can go back to read early um, 1800s material where it was thought that, you know, prehistoric man was like this
right.
drooling sort of cave painter.
Evolutionary religion
And
stuff. Yeah.
now, with the discoveries over the last 200 years, uh, the ancient Near East is an incredibly complex
Oh, yeah.
society, an incredibly complex architecture and engineering. We're still scratching our heads. How did they build this stuff?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, how in the world did they build this?
They
And then,
definitely were dumb.
no, yeah. So,
And I know Bible theory's not saying that either, but
so these
like that.
theories about this get revised quite a bit because we weren't there. I don't know. So I'm theoretically piecing together. I have
Right.
A and D and H, but I don't have B, C, E, and L and M. I don't have that. So I'm piecing together these gaps. There's a lot of gaps. Further back you go back, the more gaps occurred. We're trying
Oh,
to put
yeah.
together these big giant gaps theoretically, which is fine. That's what we do. But when you get dogmatic about some of this stuff, that's where it gets into problems.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah,
So I hope that answers the question for Bible theory.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, yeah. So let's see. We got about 10 minutes,
yeah. 10 minutes.
13 minutes.
We'll
So
do this again too.
yeah, we'll be doing this a lot more actually because I like this and it's fun. Um, so
I like the whole Ishmael only. I'm gonna
yeah,
run with
we're gonna make a cult, Sam.
that.
It's gonna be the best, the greatest
Ishmael
cult,
only. Only
greatest cult.
Ishmael is saved.
We're
Nobody
only bringing the
is saved.
best. Only the best can become an Ishmaelite, and you're not bringing your best. So
I studied Hebrew under Bruce Waltke.
yeah.
Ishmael only. Only Ishmael was saved. How do you know that? Because I studied Hebrew under Bruce Waltke
Oh
for 2.
my.
That
Let's see.
proves it. So when Jen says, I've studied Hebrew, I've mastered Bible Hub. So it proves
Yeah,
my
she that those arguments she gave were so bizarre. I just man, I was like, you don't realize like half the time your AI is giving you the answers that you're giving, like it's
Yep.
contradicting you.
Yep.
Because the AI is like, you're so stupid that I can't construct like a coherent response. Like, dang, that's really bad. So he's got a question about
Yep.
um Psalms 82. So I'm typing that in because I got to look
That's
at it.
Mitzmor La Asaph, the Psalm of Asaph. And then it says, Elohim Natzim Be'adat El. God stands in the assemblies of God.
Right.
In the
So,
midst,
oh, I
in the
can't do it like
midst,
that.
Bekrev, in the midst, Elohim Yishpot, in the midst,
So,
God judges. So something like that. God
so
is good.
my take on it, Ben, is it
Interesting.
says God has taken place in his divine council in the midst of the gods. He holds judgment. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Give justice to
Yeah.
the weak and the orphan. Maintain the right of the lowly and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk around in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I say, ye are gods, children of the Most High, all of you.
Hmm.
Nevertheless, you shall die like mortals and fall like any prince. Rise up, O God, judge the earth, for all the nations belong to you. Well, first of Israel only, all the nations belong to God. So that's a problem for
He's
y'all.
talking to human beings are gods. I said you are gods and you will die.
Yeah. Um, I would
Jesus
bring up,
quotes this verse. He
yeah,
quotes this.
I would bring up theosis also because we we are going to become like Jesus in the resurrection of the
I
dead.
think even in Job, everyone assumes that's angels and stuff. And there have been some scholars that thought, well, maybe he's in the company of human beings, the departed sons of God. He's in that company kind of thing. And I thought,
So
it's
so
kind of
Eastern
funny.
Orthodoxy, we
Okay.
do have that, but we also
Okay. I
have
can
that,
see
you
that.
know, we also have the divine council, some of
Yeah.
the beings like the small Elohim, the angels that became fallen angels, right? We have that they're they're getting taken out. Like there's that to that. So
Well,
um
notice then, too, you have uh, in this, so all these gods and this, that, and the other, right? And
right,
then, but there's a qualifier here
that they'll become
in
mortals.
verse 6
Yeah,
where it is stated here, most high. In other
right,
words,
right,
there's none higher. That
right.
the supreme, and
Yeah, so they're
everything else
children.
below is less. So
Yeah,
there's
they're
no,
children of Yahweh.
yeah, there's no idea of a bunch of equal gods.
Right, right,
There's only one most high, almighty. There's only one, and everything else is below him. But there's no divine council of equal deities.
right. Yeah, of
That's
course.
another.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe that answers that, Ben.
Oh, we could go on for that for hours.
You could. I've got it written down somewhere, but I'd have to go find it. But yeah, I mean, I just yeah, I think that
Who
was
is
and he
Bible
did it.
theory? Do I know him?
Yeah, do you remember Ben Hirschfield?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
him.
Yeah.
Um,
He's
he's
not
got really
Israel only.
no, he's
Yeah.
got good videos, and I wish I could make videos as good as that guy
I'll check him out.
because he's got. Even if I disagree with him, I'm like, damn, he's got good videos. He works pretty good. He's really good at it. I'm like, I'd hire him for
You're
my.
just the talking head. You just get on here and
Yeah,
say
I'm just
something.
a talking head. I go, this is what the Bible says, and this is my interpretation
Yeah.
here.
It's what I think.
Yeah,
What do
this is
you
what I
think?
think.
That's what I think. What do
Here's what
you
I
think?
think. Take that, Don Preston.
Yeah, Don Preston. Don
And
Preston.
then
Max.
Don's watching it, and he's going, "Dang it, I want to go watch some Gunsmoke because that Conley pissed me off again." Dang darn tootin' dang man, I tell you what.
No.
I'm like, you shouldn't have fought a Texan, Don. Like you're an Oklahoman. Texas is superior to Oklahoma, okay? It just is
Hey,
what it is.
when is the and Lance and I have planned for years to crash the federal
It
weekend, and that's gonna happen. I'm
is.
game.
It's gonna happen. Bro, okay,
We
so
just show up. I wonder if we get kicked out.
I gotta tell you this, and I know because nobody's gonna watch this, but well, some are gonna watch this. But William Vincent and I, one time, we had this idea. We were like, let's go to Don Preston's morning music, or not morning music. Let's go to the conference. Let's dress up as raptors in those raptor suits, and let's just go in there and just freak, like, make them go, "What the heck is going on here?" Because it would be the most exciting thing to ever happen in that conference.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, who are these people? And then I just
Did
take
you
off
hear
the
what Don
costume.
said during his lecture? No. The only thing I can remember is those two raptors showing up.
Yes. I was like, that would be the
Yeah,
best
my head.
thing. I think that would be the funniest thing to ever do. I really do. I would totally do it. And then when they're like, take the costume off, I take it off and they're like, it's Lance Conley.
Like Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
At the the mask comes. You meddling kids!
Yeah. I would have gotten away with it
I
too
would
if it
have gotten
weren't for
away
you
with it
million
too.
full preterists.
You full preterists! You foiled me again. So that who is it? Zach Davis, Zach Easton. Is he the new guy? Zach
Oh yeah, Zach Davis. Yeah.
Jeremiah Nordier's friend. We should crash their conference.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Just show up and see what happens. I'll wear my clerical collar and the whole offensive attire and everything.
I'm gonna wear a raptor
Really make 'em-
costume. I'm
yeah.
just gonna wear a dinosaur costume. It would be so funny. I would totally do it. I'm just that kind of guy, man. Gary's like, who are they? I'm
The
like,
sign that says the Earth is flat.
yes.
You're in a dinosaur costume with the sign that the Earth is flat.
That'd be so funny. Like, just think of what they
Call a
would
news
do.
channel like local news. Who's the local news? Hey,
Like, just think of what they would do, though. Think of what they would do if you just were like, you went there and you just publicly were like, debate us. What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
They're gonna just go like
Well,
Mike
Don has to take at least 8 months to prepare for the debate after he sends you the 90 questions.
Yeah.
That he demands that you answer first before he's going to. And
I
you
think
and I would just,
Sullivan,
so we can debate right now.
yeah, I think
Right
Sullivan would have a heart attack, personally.
I don't need to prepare. I already know this stuff. No preparation needed.
I don't need any preparation. I've got this.
Yeah, got it.
Like, I might need like a day. That's it. I've debated people with only a day to like prepare. I mean, I'm not a great debater, but like I think
I'm not either. I don't consider myself great at all.
I do better with discussion format. Like that's I've always been that way, you know.
That'll work.
I mean, I'll do it. I think it's so easy. Like, okay, let's just have a discussion. If you're so smart and great, you can kick my butt because I'm a bad speaker.
Here's your chance to put Lance in his place.
Yes, it's
and
so
embarrass
easy.
him. Just embarrass him to no end.
It should be so easy because I stutter. I'm dyslexic sometimes. Like, come on, like you can kick my butt.
Yep.
Oh, I've got 8 months to prepare. I need to prepare.
Answer those 80 questions.
Answer my 70 questions, and then when you answer one, I'm going to give you 100 more.
Yeah.
And
what did you mean by that? Exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, man, just chill out just a minute. Let's have a discussion first, okay? Let's do this.
You have to write a book before you debate.
Yeah, I've already done that, so I think I got that one.
So, and I'll say the last thing because they'll say, Sam Frost, he's a nobody. All right. Yeah. Don Preston still publishes my book. I wrote a chapter for House Divided. Gary DeMar published my book while I left Full Preterism, and he endorsed me. A nobody.
Yeah, that's a nobody. I
can live with that.
Honestly,
I'm fine with
it's really crazy because like you and Alan should totally sue. Y'all should be like, bro, give us our money's worth because man,
it's beneath all class. If I were publishing a book by somebody that recanted, I would stop publishing their book just out of human respect. Just out of,
or at least republish it and make it into your own crap or something. Like
right.
It's really easy.
But I use it to my advantage because I still get people that say, Sam, you don't understand preterism. I'm like, well, you might want to ask Don that because he publishes one of my books.
Everybody that's ever read my book and has read Don and Melvin, everybody that's ever read my book, they go, I think Lance knows what he's talking about.
Oh,
he's got citations
out there.
Yeah. Like he's like, I've had so many people that they're like, hey man, I read all of Don's books. I read all of Ed. I read this. I think you know what you're talking about.
I think it's a good book.
Thanks.
Yep.
I think it's a pretty good book. I'm planning to write a little like tinier version of it though, because it's so long and
that's what makes it good though. It's like stuff.
I remember Don going, I'm going to do 2 videos on this. And then like 100 videos later, I'm like, yeah, I'm not a threat at all to you, buddy. No. Sure.
No.
So funny.
No. Anyway, we'll do this again.
Yeah, we are. We're going to the audience. We're going to have plenty more of these to happen. So, and you're going to be all able to join us too for most of them. So, we're still doing it. we're still gonna do free for all discussion here. You are all allowed when we do these again. I'm gonna put them up, and you're gonna be able to go. You can
Send
debate
this.
us.
Make sure Don and Mike get this.
Oh, yeah, we'll try to make sure they get it. Yeah,
And
make sure
Garrett,
they get it. Audience, please help me get this to them. Yeah, we would love to discuss with you, Donnie boy. We would love to discuss it, Sully. Like, come on. Don't be scared. We're just two innocent.
we're too immature.
We're two immature, innocent, stupid guys that don't know what we're talking
I'm an
about. So you
idiot.
should be able to kick our butts.
Right.
This should be so easy. We're just so dumb.
I
We're
might
dumb.
change my mind on eschatology in mid debate with Gary tomorrow. I might
Yeah,
change my mind
exactly.
even there. Since I constantly change my mind, you could just embarrass the living
I
daylight
know.
in mid debate. I might become a premillennialist.
Yeah,
I,
you might
I
make
don't.
me go back to full preterism if
Yeah,
if I'm so stupid.
right.
I'll be like, oh
I
Don,
change my
that's
mind
really
all the time.
smart. Yeah, I mean,
I'm
come
like a
on.
chameleon. You don't know where I'm. One day
Yeah,
I'm an atheist, the next day I'm agnostic, and then I'm speaking in tongues Pentecostal. I don't know.
right. They've got you like you're just a morphing
I'm just
alien blob
yeah,
or something. It's
whatever.
really funny.
All
Well,
right.
anyways,
All right, brother.
all
Thanks.
right.
We'll
Well,
do it again.
Sam's got to log off now. But so anyways, I see you're on here, Lily. So um
See ya.
yeah, glad to know Dawn and Mike's enemies. Amen to that, sister. Um anyways, all right. Well, I think we did a pretty good podcast here tonight. Um I hope that some of y'all decide to watch some of my videos later. Um and we'll see you on the next time. God bless y'all, and we'll see you next time. Hit like and subscribe if you want to. Bye.